Israel Defense Forces has joined the hunt and is going through the West Bank, trying to look for these prisoners who have escaped, and including extending the closure on the West Bank that had been imposed over the Rosh Hashanah holiday, extending that until the overnight hours between Saturday and Sunday. We can also report that just over the course of the last hour, the head of the prison service has sent a letter to all of the employees within the prison service saying that she does not intend to resign and she intends to stay in her position supervising them. Of course, we'll have to wait to see how all of that develops. But in the meantime, David, as we've been saying throughout the morning, this has gone far beyond one incident at this particular prison that you see behind me and become a much wider security situation, including the demonstrations, sometimes violent, in the West Bank and in parts of Jerusalem, the threats from the Islamic Jihad, the riots in other parts of the prison system. This has become a much wider event, much wider in scope. Maybe those who are on the streets or in the prisons inspired by those who broke out of this prison. So it's not only about the manhunt, as important as the manhunt is to reestablishing the credibility of the prison service and of the Israeli security services, but also it is about restoring calm to the various arenas in the West Bank and East Jerusalem and within the prisons. So obviously that's going to be a challenge high in the minds of government officials. We also have this morning Public Security Minister Omer Bar-Lev coming out and saying that Israel will put its hands on, as he put it, the 6 terrorists who escaped, and will also investigate any professional negligence within the prison system. We also hear plenty of reports, David, that as of now there is no evidence that those 6 had any help from within the prison, from the inside, although that is certainly greeted by much skepticism across Israel. How could it be that these 6 were able to escape without any help from within the prison? One of the many unanswered questions still in the background of this manhunt and, of course, the wider security situation that has evolved.
Now, certainly, the details that have emerged here have shown a series of farcical mistakes that took place within the system there, within that prison specifically. So are we expecting a type of reckoning on the prison system, given that what was revealed as lax security and some of the exposure to this high level of amenities as well for prisoners?
Look, there's obviously a very public reckoning, David, in the media and in the public discourse, with this being dubbed in Hebrew media the Yom Kippur of the prison services. And that, of course, is an allusion to the Yom Kippur War in 1973, which was seen as having been caused by lapses in Israeli intelligence services and in the Israeli military, and has become a metaphor for any large lapse or large crisis facing a government authority that had been seen to have been asleep on its watch, and the metaphor now, of course, being applied to the prison service. I think it's inevitable after an incident as embarrassing as this one, which has, again, wider repercussions, that there will certainly be a reckoning within the prison service. Again, there already is in the public discourse. I think within the prison service, those who might be targeted, certainly hoping that one way or another the headlines will move on, public interest will move on, and they will escape further scrutiny. But David, as it stands, this incident has remained in the headlines over the course of the Rosh Hashanah holiday, with the country coming back to an albeit shortened work week at this point. Again, public scrutiny will only intensify, certainly as the security situation escalates. So I do think that there will be some kind of wider reckoning. Whether that means where the heads will roll, whether that means there will be other changes, of course, remains to be seen. Professionals will obviously be taking a much closer look.
Owen Alterman, thanks for the latest from outside Gilboa prison, the site of that prison break just 4 days ago.